All right. All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Alice of Gatsby, take it away.
All right. Let me get screen share. Can you see me? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Have we succeeded? Okay. So I'm Alice Thacker from Gatsby, where I'm working to make all of your get-togethers easier. If you're like me, I am the host or planner in my family life and friend life. And I get to be the wonderful person that puts together all the trips and get-togethers. And I got to put together a trip for a group of friends this past year, and it was a lot of work. I sent a ton of emails, a bunch of text messages. We had different apps going to try to coordinate everyone and decide what we were doing, when we were doing it, how much everybody could pay, and on and on. I even created a custom website for everybody at the end of the day just to keep all the itinerary straight. And I just thought, oh, there has got to be a better way. So, you know, it was time consuming and there was a ton of back and forth, and it's just feels like this shouldn't be this way. So we all need the same things. We need to be able to sync calendars with a group of friends, right? Or family members. We need to be able to chat about what our plans are. What do we want to do? Where do we want to go to dinner? We need to be able to book that dinner or that car reservation. And then we need to be able to coordinate all of our itineraries in the same place. When I started looking, like I mentioned, there's a ton of stuff out there. I'm sure you guys recognize a bunch of these products that are out there that help us do that, whether it's helping us coordinate, you know, where we're going or what we're doing, but it doesn't help you do it all in one place. I had to hop around to several different messaging apps. If you go to Europe, you're on WhatsApp, of course, all the time. And then, you know, into the booking world and on and on and on. So the goal with Gatsby is to bring it all in one place where you can sync calendars in a democratic way. So rather than me sending you a link to pick a date on my calendar, we have a way that we're building that everyone can put in their calendars, and we get the best date that works for your group. Group chat, so we can have a back and forth on what we're doing, and it stays on that place. So you don't have to endlessly scroll up a group thread of text to find something in your text messages. Your itinerary can be set up there, of course. You will be able to book your hotel reservation, your dinner reservation right within the app. We'll be building a way for you to split all payments. If, again, you've ever done anything with a group, especially a group trip, and somebody buys drinks here, somebody pays for tickets to the show there, and at the end of the day, everybody's trying to figure out who owes what. We'll have that built within the app as well. And we will also be building access to travel advisors. So we will be putting in a marketplace scenario where you can onboard your group and then request a travel advisor and shoot it off to them to let them actually build your itinerary and trip for you. So again, the goal is pulling everything into one place and having an easy way to communicate with a group that you're planning anything from just dinner out to a weekend trip away. So again, we're eliminating the headache of calendar coordination. We are going to allow for planning consensus in that chat. We'll have polls that you can put in for your group, anything you need to make sure that everybody's on the same page about where you're going. We're providing a single source of truth. So you don't have to ping JC and say, like, what did Alice say we were doing? Everybody can go to the app and find the information. And then the big one, you save time and sanity for who we're calling our host user, or the kind of planner or lead in your life that kicks off these types of events in your social world. So I'm gonna go over and show you guys, we have built an MVP for this, where we're doing testing right now on the calendar syncing feature. So I'd love to walk you through that dashboard and the layout for it. So right now we are just using, we're just testing on Google with Google sign in and syncing. So you'll go in, you can select whichever account you want to use. We have some scopes that you're confirming here of getting calendar access and read-write access. So the user has a dashboard here with all their events. You can see that I've got some events I've hosted, some events that I'm waiting to get confirmation on. And we can create an event. I'll walk you guys through this. So right now, let me move around some windows. Sorry about that. You're selecting a date range that you want to poll or sync with your group. So we'll set up, I want to see who's available for lunch. Maybe as early as 11 a.m., but not in lunch here. And I'll put in my venue, which is going to be the best food ever kitchen. And what am I going to call it? It could be our catch-up lunch. Oops. And then whatever details you want to put for your group. Again, this is early testing, so we just have a couple options here for you. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to create the event. And then you see here, you have an option where you can either send an email or a text message to invite people to sync their calendars. So this is, again, I'm going to invite myself. You're just inviting people to join up and sync their calendars. So the user, I'm going to swipe over here. I think it takes a second. Can you guys see my new email account? I'm going to refresh this and see if this comes in. I got an invite to sync with myself, to sync with my other account, to sync calendars. So if I open this invite, and this again is what I'm calling this invitee user, I can see in here, oh, okay, they got a catch-up lunch. I'm going to sign in with Google here as well. I'm going to choose the account or the calendar that's tied to the account that I want. Hit continue. I see, okay, I've been invited to this. I'll accept this invitation. And then, of course, every invited user can also become a host user if they like. And we prompt you to go ahead and create your own event here. So then, if I go back to my hosted account here, I kind of set this up already. You can see that I've got availability back, and we've only got 2 people in here, of all of those dates and times that I put in the range. And I can actually go ahead and say, oh, look, everybody's available on December 12th at noon. Fabulous. I'm going to send a calendar invite, and they'll get a traditional Google Calendar invite, just like we would. And you'll see on here, it's on my host calendar. And then if I go over to my invited user, Alice just invited me this. Oh, yes, I'd love to go. And you can see it's on here as well. So yeah, that's the MVP that we're currently testing and have out there and running people through. We're going to be adding, it's again a web version, but we'll be adding kind of the polling features and some different items coming up. So I'd love for anybody that's on here, if you want to come on and test, that would be wonderful. You can go to the gatsbyapp.com and sign up for beta there. And we'll be adding more and then creating our roadmap for our apps. So
I love this, Alice. I'm so glad to see all this progress. So I know you just asked, you're looking for beta folks to join. So
yep.
After this, if you want to throw that link in the chat,
Yep.
that'd be helpful for any of those planners. I see people who already are excited about it. I'll ask one question, then we'll keep on going. Do you have, like, what's the future vision or capabilities? I think you've mentioned a little bit of travel agents. Can you just kind of
Yeah, so the future vision is that it really is an all-in-one kind of planner for your social life for group events. So anything from booking dinner to booking trips, you would be able to do within the app. So you're kind of onboarding your group. And if you want to handle all the booking yourselves, you'll be able to look for hotels, Airbnb stays, that sort of thing, and book that within the app. You can also, as I mentioned, request a travel advisor. So you can say, I've got everybody in here. Everybody knows they want to go to the beach. Here are the dates. Here's our price point. And I'm going to say, I want a travel advisor. And that'll be shot out to our network of travel advisors to then pick up your group. Saves them onboarding time with groups. And they would then move forward with booking your itinerary and creating your schedule for you. So yeah, the end goal is that this is kind of in your back pocket all the time for anything for your social life. It's a more productive tool that helps you get together easier and take out that back and forth so we can spend more time together.
Love it. Yay. Well, I'm so glad to see how the progress, and I'm glad that you joined today. There are a few more questions.
Okay.
I'll let you go ahead and take those offline, and I appreciate you being here and I'm glad that you could share, and I'll invite Will. There he is.
Thanks, Doll.
Hop on. And again, there are some questions for you, Alice. Just tackle them in the chat.
Will do.
Awesome. Well, next up, Will, we have known each other for quite some time, so I'm glad. I'll turn it over to you now.
Hey everyone, I'm Will. I'm one of the co-founders of Lavender. I'm calling in right now from Finland on my hotspot, so any sort of lag, sorry about that, but we did get started in the Atlanta Tech Village, which is how we originally met. So what is Lavender? Lavender is an email assistant primarily for sales emails that helps our users write better emails faster. So we're building a product that increases reply rates generally by 2 to 4x while reducing time spent writing B2B emails by about half. The primary use case is as a sales email assistant, but if you think about it, a lot of things are sales emails, recruiting emails, trying to find a job, customer support or success. Pretty much everything we are trying to get someone to do a positive response can be classified as a sales email. So our users use the product for all sorts of things. Even, for example, optimizing their LinkedIn posts or LinkedIn messaging. And then, of course, the traditional sales email. I'm going to show the product today in Gmail, but Lavender works natively within Gmail, Outlook, Salesloft, and Outreach, which are all email or cadencing tools for sales emails. And then it also works with our universal version, Lavender Anywhere, and things like HubSpot, Apollo, wherever you could possibly be sending emails, Lavender will be able to assist you. But again, I'm showing it within Gmail. There are really three main functions of the product. One is around personalization, so helping you research your recipient faster and then reducing the time spent it takes to write a custom personalized email for them. Our sales email assistant, which will look for things in the email that will hurt your chance of reply and then helps you fix it. And then our coaching and analytics dashboard, which really helps teams like Brex or Sendoso or Twilio to learn what's working or not working on their sales team and then optimize around that. So I'll go through each of those features. There are a few ways that users would use Lavender. It could be that they're writing a one-to-one email and they're not sure what to say, so they just want to get their email started. Or maybe they're editing a template that their manager has written and they want to personalize it, or maybe they have an existing copy that they've used. So we can generate an email to get our user started and then they can go from there. Or we might have an email that they've already written or their manager has provided to them, in which case they would use our email assistant tools for that. So as you're writing the email, Lavender starts to flag different things that you should identify and work on, and we'll highlight those in red. But before I go into those, I'm first going to go through the personalization features, because that's typically how you would start an email. So if I were to email this guy, Kyle Coleman, who's an advisor of ours, Lavender's going to pull in information on Kyle and on his company. So I can see here some overview on Clary, some recent news and events. And if I click in, I can see more information on Kyle over here. We're going to show data both on the individual recipient as well as their company. So for example, here we're pulling in information from LinkedIn, his bio. I see he likes dogs, likes podcasts. I might want to incorporate that into my message. I see his current role. He's a Lavender user, thankfully, so he would know what I'm talking about. He has, he's a motivator, which is his personality type. So we pull in data on how this recipient thinks through their buying decision. So with Kyle being vision oriented, I'm not going to get too into the weeds with him. I'm going to focus more on the big picture of my product or service that I'm trying to sell to him. We also pull in different reasons to reach out. So if I wanted to see recent news on this company, I can see it right here. Then Lavender will suggest a few different ways you could open up your email with personalized introductions. If I tab over, I can also see things like his work history. So how is he progressing in his career, his social media posts, et cetera. And then also data on the company. So for example, are they hiring? If they're hiring, what departments they're hiring for. Us as a sales tech product, I look to see if they're hiring for salespeople, their funding history, their tech stack, et cetera. So lots of information depending on what's relevant to you in your sale. But let's say I found the thing that I want to personalize for, I put it in my email, and now I'm trying to make my email better. that's where our personal or our sales assistant comes in. So Lavender is kind of like an email game. It looks for different things in the email based on us analyzing millions of emails every month and starts tracking trends for both you and your company, but also sales email overall. And we give you the score. The score is like a prediction that your email is going to be opened, read, and ideally positively responded to. We'll then isolate anything in that email that could hurt your chance of getting an open or getting a reply, or more specifically, getting a positive reply. And we'll prioritize them under here. So for example, I'm losing 4.3 points because my email is not mobile optimized. So I can see how it's going to look on the phone. We'll highlight this big paragraph here. Your reader is 8 times more likely to open the email on the phone. So really having it easy to read and scan on the phone does a lot for actually getting your email to be replied to and read. When I make these adjustments, I get points added to my score. So for example, I could get a lot of points right here for my subject line. I could get points for fixing my long sentences. So I can hover over it and then Lavender will suggest more concise sentences. If I were to make my subject line shorter, that would be ideal as well. The optimal for subject lines is around 2 words because it allows more of the preview text right here to be shown. And you keep working through this in order to get your email to an A. There's a lot of other stuff built in, like open tracking, tone analysis, et cetera, but that's kind of the gist around the sales email assistant part of the product. And then as you use the product over time, Lavender learns about you and it starts to give you customized coaching around things that you can be doing, or if you're on a team, your team can be doing to improve, and we'll prioritize it in here. And you can come in and get lots of insight and information around how you can improve your reply rate. The average reply rate in sales is generally 1 to 5%. Our users typically have 10 to 20 or higher percent. For example, our team is 35% reply rate. So a lot of information goes into this coaching dashboard. I'm not going to go through all of it, but it does learn about you over time, your team over time, and begins to customize to you as a seller over time. So like a good email for me may not be a good email for you. It will customize that to you. And if any of you are looking for a job, you're a student or you're a bootstrap founder, Lavender is free for you until you get your job or you get revenue. So you can just install it at lavender.ai and chat our team and we'll upgrade your account. I'm going to pause there.
That is so great. I love seeing this product. I love all the progress always will that we get to see. So it looks like we did have a question about the subscription model. Do you want to talk? So you said free for that type of demographic. Do you want to walk us through any subscription models you have or anything after that for teams?
Sure. Yeah. So Lavender's free to try. Every installation comes with a week unlimited free trial. If you are part of one of those groups or you otherwise cannot afford it for whatever reason, we're happy to give you 3 months free to start. And then if you still need it after that 3 months, we're always happy to extend it. But usually in 3 months, people can find a job or get their first customers. If you are paying for Lavender, then it's $29 for individuals and $49 per month and $49 per month to access our team functionality. The team functionality includes a lot of the coaching recommendations that teams would use, as well as integrations into things like outreach and sales loft.
Awesome. And one quick question, then we'll keep moving on. Tell us about kind of your customer base so far. Do you want to share a little bit about how many folks are actually using this and who your ideal, I know you talk about sales, but yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we have I don't know, 10,000 or 11,000 users right now, a combination of individuals that are just typical SDRs or sales development representatives or account executives, as well as teams like the ones you've seen here, and some other ones that are not on this list, like Twilio, which is a pretty large team a lot of tech companies use. Most of our customers tend to skew toward like Series B or later tech companies, although when it comes to our individual users or people who actually get value from it, they installed a lot of times without ever talking to their team. We have a product-led growth motion where an SDR or individual sales rep can install it on their own, use it for free, maybe upgrade on their own, and then eventually their team will come in. But there's really not a specific industry that we've seen it skew more toward, other than just being like tech, typically because they're more early adopters. But because Lavender has dynamic scoring and adjusts to what works well for your team, it can really work anywhere because it learns from your personal data.
That's awesome. Well, it's so cool to see. I love seeing that customer list. If anyone does have any more questions, or if you want to kind of share like how to get it, that link, different free subscription places to grab it, throw that in the chat. And of course, hopefully you'll stay around for a few more minutes if there are more questions. And we appreciate you, Will. It's good to see you. Always good to see progress.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Next up, we have Terry. There he is. All right, Terry with Gig Room. I will let you take it away.
Thanks, JC. I'm Terry Lowry. Back in 2012, I started an online community for musicians. A little background. I am a professional musician. I'm the conductor of the Carroll Symphony Orchestra in Carrollton, Georgia, about 45 minutes west of Atlanta. And in 2012, I started an online community, sort of a LinkedIn plus YouTube for musicians. The idea was, how can two musicians who aren't already famous meet each other? YouTube was so big. The search algorithm favored musicians who already had millions of hits. So let's say I'm a 16-year-old pianist and I want to meet someone else like me. Where would I meet them? I know when I was growing up in small towns, I was basically the only kid I knew that was playing the piano 8 hours a day. And it would have been really cool to meet somebody else like me. And so started musicaloverture.com in 2012. And the day that we launched with the help of Steinway. The day that we launched in Atlanta, there were members in St. Petersburg, Russia, uploading videos. So it went around the world immediately and just really took off. We sort of just kind of watched it grow. Didn't have to do any marketing or anything. Musicians were just sharing it with each other. Universities and conservatories were using it to recruit. Professional contractors and conductors were using it to recruit professional musicians. It just kind of became a really effective niche community for musicians. In 2016, one of our members won a competition. She was a 15-year-old violinist in Italy, and the prize was a performance in Carnegie Hall. And Carnegie Hall offered her a piano player to accompany her. And she said, no, I found someone on Musical Overture I'd like to play for me. Turns out he was a math major at Georgia Tech. So she sends him a message and says, hey, Robert, would you like to play for me in Carnegie Hall? And he says, duh, yeah. And so she sent him the music. He learned the music. He flew to New York. They met at 2 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. They rehearsed for 2 hours and walked out on stage in Carnegie Hall and did the concert. And it went so well that when it was over, this young lady, her name is Clarissa, sent us a message and said, hey, we had such a great time playing. When I go back to Italy and Robert's in Atlanta, is there any way we could play music together online? She said, we've tried Skype. That's back when everybody used Skype. And it's too slow. There's too much latency or delay in video conferencing and audio conferencing applications. So we got to looking at it and asking the question, why are video and audio conferencing apps so slow? What's the cause of latency? So we kind of started digging into it. We came up with a beta version that we called Gig Room, and we used it in December of 2016 to put on the world's very first e-concert. We had 2 musicians in Germany and another musician in Cleveland. We made a film about it. It was on PBS. It won several awards at film festivals. It'll be on Apple TV and Amazon Prime starting December 12th. So just a little plug for that if you want to kind of see all of that in action. We continued to work on Gig Room, and then the pandemic happened. And as you can imagine, we got a lot of calls from musicians all over the country who had been sent home, music teachers who have been sent home. Now they've got to teach their kids online, but there's so much delay, they can't do rehearsals, you can't even really teach a piano lesson using Zoom because the delay is so great. If a kid's playing the piano and the teacher says stop, the kid keeps playing for 3 or 4 seconds, and now they've got to decide, why did the teacher say stop and where were they, and let's go back. And so they're talking about the application, they're not talking about the music. So we've fast-tracked some of our work on Gig Room and released a browser-based version that worked really well in most scenarios. We had about an 85% success rate. Musicians were using it to do private lessons. We had band directors who were using it to, when we went back to school in the fall of 2020, as you recall, oftentimes a child would be exposed to COVID and have to go back home and quarantine for 2 weeks. So what do you do if you're preparing for a performance and your oboe soloist had to go home for 2 weeks for COVID. Well, the band director could put them on gig room, put them on the Promethean board or the big screen in the classroom. The band is rehearsing, the oboe player is playing from home, plays the solo, everybody hears it, it works beautifully in the classroom. There are some network conditions that had to be met in order for that to work the way it's supposed to. So we spent a couple of years watching clients, watching our users, and how they used gig room, when they used it, why they used it. And we found that there were, 3 primary ways that it was being used. One was to do individual lessons where one teacher, one student. Another way was for the scenario that I just outlined with the player who couldn't be in the rehearsal and wanted to be piped in, or a guest conductor who was on the other side of the country who was going to conduct an orchestra remotely. And then the third and the most commonly used application for gig room were 2 people who wanted to record a video and send it to TikTok. So they're playing online, they play a minute-long video together, they save it, they upload it to TikTok or to YouTube or wherever they want to upload it. So we're watching and learning all this and realizing that there are some scenarios where some users, because of their internet connection or some other variable, were having a hard time being able to play in sync. And we're experiencing the delays similar to Zoom or Skype. And on those applications, the fastest times that we've been able to get are around half a second, 400 milliseconds to be exact. So sound travels 1 foot per millisecond. So a 400 millisecond round trip time is the same thing as being 200 feet apart. And that's a little too far apart to be able to play music. So we've worked to be able to create an application that allows musicians to never be more than 75 feet apart. And oftentimes it's more the equivalent to being 25 or 30 feet apart, which is like being in my studio here playing together. So I'd like to do a quick little product demo. We'll be releasing this new app in the next month or 2, but this is a beta version. So I'm going to do a quick screen share and then call up my CTO, and we're going to do a little demo and let you see how it works. If you've played around with Zoom or ever tried to make music with Skype or one of those other applications, then you know about the delay. Even under its best conditions, you're going to end up with a delay about like that. There's Thad, my CTO. Thad, thanks for joining us. Let's see. Hang on one second, Thad. I've got to go back and turn my video off on Zoom. I'm going to hang up, call you right back. Okay. Sorry, I forgot about that. There we go. So now you see, what the app looks like on your computer screen, your mobile phone, wherever it happens to be.
We'll have to share
And
the screen.
we are running a round trip latency right now of right around 76 milliseconds total.
Jerry, you'll have to share your screen again. You turned your video.
Got it back. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Here we go. How's that?
Perfect.
Are we back? Okay, great. So my friend Thad here and I, he's in Alpharetta. I'm in Carrollton. We're about an hour and a half apart if we were to drive, but we're running a latency time round trip of about 75, 76 milliseconds. So that's, 36, 37 feet apart. So we're going to do a little clap test. If we were on Zoom or if we were on FaceTime or Skype, then the delay would be about like that, which, as you can imagine, is impossible to play music. And if your network conditions are worse than that, we've seen it as much as 12 seconds. We've seen as much as a 12-second delay in some situations. So Thad, let's run it both ways so that everyone knows there's no smoke and mirrors here.
Sounds good.
All right, so let's start. I'll go first. I'll say 1, 2, clap.
All right.
And then you clap when I say clap. And
Sure.
let's see. So here we go. 1, 2, clap. 1, 2, clap. 1, 2, clap. All right, now let's go the other way. You tell me and I'll go.
Okay. 1, 2, clap. 1, 2, clap. 1, 2, clap. 1, 2.
So you see there, any delay is really just human error at this point. So if you had two musicians walk in, if you had a musician walk into my studio to rehearse with me, I sat down at the piano. At first, we would have to get used to each other. We'd have to kind of agree on the tempo. You know, that's why you rehearse. You don't just start off playing perfectly. We wanted to create an application that took the technology kind of out of the picture so that now we're just talking about musicians getting to play music together. So our users will be able to rehearse. A band director, a course teacher in a high school will be able to assign practice time. So a student and another student in the class will be required to rehearse together, say 30 minutes a day, record it, submit it to the, automatically be shared to their gig room account so the teacher can evaluate their practice time and know that they did it. It's the first time in the history ever that a music educator can hold the students accountable for their practice time. So that's one use. And then of course, our most popular use is for the kids that want to put it on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. So we're looking forward to that release. So that's Gig Room. We've got a huge potential market base. There's over 72 million practicing musicians in America who play an instrument in a group at least once a week. And we're wanting to tap into that. We already have a large user base with Musical Overture. We have a large subscription base from the browser-based version of Gig Room that we released in 2020. We'll be converting all of them over to the new application once we release it. We're going to release it on Mac OS, Windows, iOS, and Android. So we look forward to that. That's Gig Room. Thad, thanks, man.
You bet. Thanks. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
This is great, Terry. Quick question here. First of all, it looks like people are looking to connect. Hopefully you can drop your LinkedIn websites. And also, of course, if someone's wanting to do a TikTok video, this is not just for musicians, it's obviously for musicians, but any way to get it.
And that is one of the interesting things is that the application for real-time communication at this level goes well beyond the music industry. There are lots of other folks that are talking to us about the technology. So we're excited to see where that goes.
I love it. Well, or if you can drop it in the chat, how can they get it? How can they connect with you? And then I'll ask one more question. Just to put when did you say the next release is happening?
Yeah, so we're going to hopefully release the Mac OS in the next few days. This is, as all of you know who've done your own startup, you know, it's every day is something exciting. So the Mac OS was sent to me from one of our developers last night. I haven't even had time to try it out. So I'm looking forward to, as soon as this meeting ends, I'm going to hop in some gig rooms on Mac OS and see how it goes. If it works out, then you'll be able to download the Mac OS package at gigroom.com. And then after that, we'll be releasing the iOS for your iPhones and iPads, followed by Android and then Windows.
Okay, I love it. Well, we've got 4 more minutes, so feel free if there are any more questions come in, Terry, drop connections in there and see if there's any more. But I will say thank you for joining. Excited to see the progress. I love to see it. And with that, I am going to go ahead and share my screen one more time, just to talk through like what's coming up next, any helpful resources. So we have a meetup coming up in 1 month. We will launch it soon. So you can join for the healthcare entrepreneurship meetup. And then of course we will have a Atlanta Startup Convos after that. Feel free to check the events on our website. I know someone mentioned joining the newsletter. So on the footer of any page, if you want to stay up to date about what's happening, get these recaps, etc., go to our website, Atlanta Ventures, on the footer or /newsletter, anywhere. It's there. So just keep in the loop. We send a monthly newsletter. We sent one yesterday, so you just missed out, but feel free to connect. And of course, we do have a couple podcasts that Atlanta Ventures launches, and one of them is a weekly podcast called 5 and Thrive. you can get it in all major podcast platforms or find it on our site. But that is a great way to come see what's coming up. I think we've featured each of these 3 companies on that podcast. And so it's 5 minutes. You can listen to it quickly. Fridays, take a look. With that, we will share this out as a recap tomorrow. But I appreciate everyone joining. We have 2 minutes. So I will give you back 2 more minutes of your day since it is almost 9 o'clock. But I'm so thankful for all of our founders, Alice, Will, and Terry for joining. And I hope you have a great day and a great holiday season. We will see you again soon. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Thank you, JC.
Of
Bye.
course. Thank you, Will. Such a great time to see you.
Thanks, Jason.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Alice. Talk soon.